partial to believing that every episode of Association Chat is great, but this one may have been one of my favorites. I had the chance to talk with JP Gilbo, who is the new CEO of a new community brands, bringing together 3 leaders in the AMS space in the association industry. And it was pretty amazing. After I had that Q&A, I opened up and talked to a number of different experts in the community. I think this is going to be one that a lot of people are going to find interesting, but I would love to know what you think. So check it out, and I hope you enjoy the show. I would love to welcome all of you to this record-breaking association chat already. We've started it off with 196 registered viewers and countless others who are watching live on Facebook Live right now as Association is being streamed. Welcome to this edition of Association Chat, your weekly online discussion for the association community, where we warm ourselves by the virtual fire with the topics of the day, welcoming thought leaders and trailblazers alike to join up in this online home for the community. I'm the producer and host of this show, Kiki L'Italien, CEO of Amplified Growth Digital Marketing, and for today's show, we're talking about what some have described as one of the single biggest deals in the history of association technology. It's pretty big, guys. On Thursday, April 6th of 2017, clients of 3 major AMS companies received notification that something new was happening. And on Friday, the rest of the world heard the official news that Abila, Aptify, and your membership were all part of a family of companies called Community Brands. Today, we're talking with several experts in the association community who take the development of technology, innovation, and the business of associations very seriously. And I'm going to start out by talking with our first guest today. He's the president of Community Brands, JP Gilbo. And he is responsible for driving the company's vision of being the recognized leader at connecting people and organizations to what they value most. After our Q&A, I'll be bringing in other experts in the community to help us look at this news and what it means. Thanks so much for joining us today, JP, and thanks for taking the time away from, I know you're so busy at Abila's AUDC conference in Nashville.
Thank you, Kiki. We appreciate the opportunity to actually share the news.
It was the hottest news in the association space at the end of last week. And so the first thing I have to ask you is, you're walking around the halls right now, seeing people face to face at for the conference of one of these companies that is now part of this family of companies for Community Brands. What's the #1 question that people are asking you as you're running into them at AUDC so far?
I think, at the end of the day, the question is the same across every kind of stakeholder, from the employee to the customer to the partners that we're meeting. What does this mean for me? Yeah. And that's, at the end of the day, what everybody wants to know.
I'm not surprised that that is the first thing that people want to find out. They are very curious about how this is going to impact them in their day-to-day lives, working with one of those AMSs. But I can tell you that there are rumors, there are all kinds of things flying around, and I've heard rumors that there's additional news, maybe not something quite this big, quite this, momentous, but that there's even more of like additional services or brands that could potentially be coming, news that's coming from Community Brands. And so is there any truth to that there's something coming in the near future that we should be on the lookout for? Is there something that you could share with us about that?
Yeah, I think #1, you started this kind of webcast with, this is new. And this really is new. This is an advancement in terms of how companies come together to better serve a market. And these companies are coming together to stand on their own, to continue to do product innovation, and also start to look at the ecosystem of other technologies that tightly integrate and become more seamless to better operate organizations and enable organizations to achieve what they're trying to achieve. And this is, this is a model that has been successful in other verticals. The church management, faith-based market, you can kind of think about, how organizations have to manage their parishioners and their congregation and take payment and champion community activities and donations. It's been a very successful model in which, brands came together to further pool their resources and think about innovation in a market that was highly fragmented. And that was replicated across the kind of school management and education management ecosystem. And the same here, that, this is the opportunity within nonprofits, associations, and government entities where, technology is still fragmented. There's lots of players and services in the market. And there's opportunities to bring them tighter together to work more cohesively, doing a best of need, best of breed attachment. And so, I will never comment on M&A activity specifically, but I think, we're always interested in growing, and where strategy meets the right culture, the right technology, the right partner, we want to be part of that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that makes sense. I know that I heard from one consultant that works with different AMSs, and she said that both Aptify and your membership have a more closed development practices than Abila does. And so she was wondering how that's going to potentially impact innovation when you're looking at all of these brands kind of working together. And I know that that's one of the goals of what you guys are doing. Do you have any comments to that?
Yeah, I think, our approach and philosophy is going to be actually open. It was something I started back in 2012 with your membership, which was at that time rather closed and proprietary. And we needed to go through the work that recognizing that the world is going to be a much more connected technology ecosystem. We need to be able to play, we need to be able to share data, and we need to be able to advance with those other applications, because we realize our customers will have needs. And so we've done that at YM. We're going to do that in the community brands family. We're going to continue to be open. We want to look at the opportunity to make the role of the AMS what it was designed to do, and then tighten the integrations of other applications so that it's seamless to customers. And we want it to be open, because even if you're not in our family of brands, we know that there are still opportunities to connect with value-added tech and services.
Well, and I think that there are a lot of people who are interested in finding out, what are you looking for in your family of brands? I mean, if I were owning, a tech company and looking at what had happened, I might be thinking to myself, what exactly is desirable to community brands? So, I mean, what do you have to say? Is there any particular type of technology that you're on the lookout for? Type of service?
Yeah, I think, we're looking for technology in which it furthers engagement, and it furthers the organization's effectiveness to drive engagement. And what I mean by engagement, it's really managing the whole life cycle experience of a prospect or a member, and in a way in which the business model of associations has evolved from primarily membership-driven organizations to ones at which they're building products to interact and provide value at points of need in a consumer's life. And we recognize their business model has changed, and so for us, we want to enable them with that technology that really does drive the engagement, the interaction, the personalization, and also, when we consider the great wealth of Abila's products, there's the processing and the efficiency of the organization, handling, cash management and billing and fund accounting. There's a wide array of needs, and we want to be able to target needs of associations, nonprofits, and government entities.
All right. Now we're getting into we're getting into the attendee questions. Those are usually a lot tougher than the ones that I'm not a gotcha kind of gal, but there can be some tough questions in here. So, but they have been upvoted by people who are watching, and so I'm going to start over here with this question. Prepare yourself. How can it be sustainable for one parent organization like Community Brands to maintain competing brands targeted at the same customer base in the industry? Do you anticipating these brands further specializing or differentiating? And what does that mean for existing and prospective customers?
Yeah, I think, you know, in some ways, if you think about the needs of the broad segment we serve, nonprofit, government entities, associations, they all have needs, and in some common way they're similar, but yet they're really different. You know, from small organizations are different from mid-sized organizations, and they're different from large organizations. Those needs are fundamentally different in the marketplace. And a government organization versus a charity and cause-driven organization versus a membership organization are different. And what we had the opportunity to do is look at the market leaders that have served both segments and verticals and recognize that they brought 60 years of talent, experience, and understanding of these markets. And so while they will continue with, you know, product roadmaps and competing, what I call friendly competition, they're going to continue to design for their customer segments. And what we hope to do and want to do long-term is design for product that is designed around the segments that I just referenced: small, medium, large, government, nonprofit, associations, but really recognize that in the association space, the business model has changed. And that what we want to understand is the business model first, and then the technology to support the business model. And so the way those continue to stay together is keep focusing on the needs of today, and then allow the resources to also look long-term at how do you advance to the next generation of technology. This has been something, you know, long debated in the association management space about, you know, it's marginalized technology. It's tried to serve a lot of constituents and a lot of needs, but, you know, and a lot of functions in the association space. And, you know, it becomes adequate at that point, but not great. And that's what we're changing.
Yeah, you're trying to move from adequate to great. And I think everybody's saying, oh my gosh, if we can do that with our AMS, that would be amazing. So you helped answer several of the questions that were coming up for people, which is, you know, how are these different brands working together as sister companies? What were, and this is a fascinating one, what were the one or two high-level events or trends that caused this to happen? And that may not even be the right answer. Is there anything that helped to sort of push you over to, you know, this is the direction we need to go in, or how did this come about?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is it starts with my passion for the industry. 5 years in it, 20 plus years in tech, but really 5 years supporting purpose-driven organizations. The impact that they have on society and the world is incredibly admirable. When we think about the collective companies that have come together, you know, they recognized revenue that exceeded $10 billion last year. They generated $1 billion in funding. They delivered education courses in excess of 10 million and created job prospect and matching for nearly 3 million hiring organizations, and then actually employing from their member bases over 1 million. So it starts there. It starts with the root of the mission and each individual mission of the customers. And then, you know, so what's that event? What triggered it? Well, you know, back in 2014, my view of the company at YM was we needed to open it up, that there were other applications that we were trying to solve for inside the AMS, and it just wasn't working. And we made some strategic acquisitions of Digital Ignite, a learning management system, Job Target Career Centers, one of the leading career center techs. And what we said is, like, rather than trying to recreate where there's already best of breed tech, let's actually bring them in and do tight integrations. Well, the market was still fragmented after that. And, having met some opportunity with strategic investors to think about a vision by which, we saw the playbook and we saw the best practices formed in the other two verticals that I mentioned. We kind of studied it and said, this is going to be the best path for us, and we think it's the best path for the market. And really, this is a profound moment for the market to kind of rethink the way technology is going to work for it.
So technology and innovation is definitely something that some of the other people who are going to be coming on to talk about this big news later, that they're focused on. I mean, that's definitely something that many in the association space are not just fascinated with, but concerned and really focused on, because everyone's looking for growth and wanting to do the very best that they can to move their industries forward. One question that we have that's really pushed its way to the top, so everyone keeps voting for it, is wanting to understand a little bit more about tempering the fears that these other product lines won't be diminished or dropped. And I'm sure you've been getting, that's probably one of the very first questions that everybody asks, but it is a concern. And so I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I talked about that this morning in our keynote. And I think number one, where do your values lie in leading an effort like this? And our values, start with commitment. We're committed to the products that are in market today. We're committing to supporting and maintaining and adding more to those products as we go forward. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, we're committed to protecting the investment that these organizations have put into their technology. And that's key. I've heard the kind of, whether you call it rumor or speculation of, wow, they're going to sunset a product, and am I going to be forced off my product? The answer is no, we're not doing any forced migrations. I think that's personally bad for customers. It's disruptive, and kind of our first kind of corporate principle is like, do no harm and let's not disrupt. Right. What we're trying to do is actually create a path forward, and when the path forward is clear to a customer and more value is recognized, they'll go forward with you, but don't do it by force.
Right. And speaking of rumors, I mean, that's definitely something that I've seen in conversations online and people talking about to the side. And, to be honest, there are a lot of people who are very, very excited I think more people who are excited about the developments than fearful, but that fear is there. And I think that people definitely want to hear that, that the innovation that you're talking about doesn't mean dropping something that they're relying on. Yep. And so to that end, is there any sort of focus on where these development and innovations will be taking place, like what areas you'll be focusing on first? I know there's so much that you could choose to work toward and develop, but I don't know. Can you give us like a heads up or a little insight into what those areas are?
Yeah, let me start with, the answer you want me to really answer in terms of product roadmap and what does the roadmap vision look like. The answer you want me to have is I don't have one, because if I did, it means it came up and it came through, some inside out means. And what we really want to do is we actually want to get with associations. We want to get with our technology partners in the ecosystem, and we want to spend time first around the business model. The business models are at the core of what changes, and they're at the core of what we design going forward. So no, I don't have targeted areas at this point, because it's actually going to be customer driven and it's going to be customer led, and we're going to listen to customers, and then we'll come out with a roadmap and a plan that becomes clearer about where we're headed. Now, it's not new news. The world is digital. The world is mobile. The world is online, and there are components of that, that I am sure will play in the ecosystem in terms of being important. But again, it's going to start really as a fundamental involvement with the community and associations to drive us forward. And I think this is the event. We're so excited about the opportunity for employees, customers, partners. This is the opportunity where great brands actually declared, look, we got to do something going forward. And what we do love is all the management teams and the vision of what we're putting forth is there's agreement on that.
Okay, so there is currently an action in our community right now, watching live right now, to upvote this question. And so I'm watching it move its way all the way to the top. If only everything in my life were this simple, but I am watching it come to the top, and it says, I'm intrigued by JP's comments on the association business model. What I'm hearing him say is that the association business model has changed and that community brands wants to build tech to support it. I would argue that what associations really need is stronger choice among platform technologies to help accelerate business model innovation beyond the current membership-centric business models that still pervade the association space. Thoughts?
Check the box. If whoever asked that question, please bring them in and they can help spread the message. Yeah. I think it's well said. I think at the end of the day, what we're demonstrating, number one, is there's choice, and there will be more choice. There are platforms and there are technology that work in different situations, and we want to offer choice going forward. And in terms of the business models, the evolution of business models on a year and day-by-day basis are changing quickly. And what we really need is technology for associations that can just adapt and configure without a lot of complexity, without a lot of hassle and inertia being put forth in terms of changing the tech.
All right, so I promised you that I would not be grilling you for longer than 20 minutes. So this part of Association Chat will be coming to a close pretty soon, and then I'll invite some other people to come on. But are there any final words that you wanted to say to folks who are watching right now who are tuned in just to hear what you have to say about this news?
Yeah, I'll echo what I already said, which is, this is big news for the market, and it's a big opportunity. It's an iterative process. We're starting it with a dialogue. We're starting it with the community and an understanding of where we want to go and head in a direction that's good for our customers, both in their specific segments and the broader ecosystem. So I'm really excited about the opportunity. I think, I understand the fear, but I also see a lot of excitement at this moment. And as long as we stay true to the values and the commitment we've promised customers, I think this is all going to be good in the long run for everyone.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining with us today, and good luck on the rest of AUDC. I know it's hectic there and everyone wants to talk with you, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and the Association Chat audience. And so next up, everyone, we have several experts who are going to be weighing in on what this move could mean, not just for association customers of these companies, but the association industry tech scene as a whole, and innovation in technology for associations. And so while I give everyone a chance to get into place, and I need to diminish the screen, and this is where I have to say being a one-man band is not ideal. So pardon the awkwardness, my friends. But here we go. And I am, there are so many people that are watching right now and participating that it's making it very difficult to actually make this happen fast. All right. Okay, how are we feeling? Are we feeling like it's time for a quick sponsorship break? Because I am. And today, here's a quick word about our silver sponsor, Fonteva. I hope you're enjoying today's chat. For the past 3 months, Association Chat has appreciated its silver sponsor, Fonteva. Fonteva aims to develop flexible, easy-to-use software tools to help transform your business. Fonteva's member nation makes managing and growing your organization easier than ever before. Be sure to connect with Fonteva on Twitter at Fonteva Inc. and tell them your favorite thing about Association Chat. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. And actually, we'll be hearing someone from Fonteva a little bit later who, and actually pretty soon, who is going to be talking to us about their perspective on the news and what it means for different AMS providers who are looking at this shift in the space and saying, okay, you know, what does this mean for our customers or our potential customers? And how can it impact the way that we look at developing our own technology and our own service? So with that, I am going to bring on some of our other guests. And again, sorry for any of the awkwardness. Hi, Layla. Okay. And I'm going to unmute them because it does help to hear voices, doesn't it? Elizabeth, thank you. Becky, thank you. Aaron, I love it. I know, one-man band. You know, in a previous life, I probably played harmonica and strummed the guitar at the same time. So, not that that's something I can do now, but all right. I think I can hear you laugh now, Layla.
Aha, I got it. All right.
Yes, and I'm still trying to get everybody else on. It's a little bit clunkier than usual just because of the volume. And just so people know, I usually cap this sort of thing at 150, and right now we have 222 registrants, not counting who is watching on Facebook Live right now. And Facebook Live folks, I am sorry I'm ignoring your windows and your questions. However, there is just one me, and I'm trying very, very hard to focus on the conversation that we're having right now and trying to make sure we get the guests on. That
While you're doing that, I'll give you a pause and just say,
please,
on behalf of the 200 and so plus people here, just have to say how awesome it is, Kiki, that you do this. You have been at the forefront of so much huge association news, and really when things happen, you are just on it. And I know, speaking for myself and clearly everybody else giving you high fives in this chat window, this is just an awesome place to get everyone's ideas together. And I think we're obviously all so much better for it.
I don't know which I appreciate more. I don't know if I appreciate what you just said or the fact that you gave me some time to try to get the other guests on.
And that was not a paid sponsorship. That was just on the heart.
I'm really... I don't know. It's a toss-up on which I prefer more. Okay, so while I am waiting for these other windows to open, and I have invited you guys on, so I'm waiting for this to happen. Layla, I want to go ahead and ask you,
Sure.
You know, you wrote a great blog post about this, and I'm not sure if I read it, you know, on your website or on LinkedIn, or if they're both connected, but wherever I read it, you were talking about what you're really hoping that this new change means for the association space and for innovation in technology.
Right.
And just to be clear so that everybody knows, you know, Layla Masri, she's the president of Being Creative. It's a 20-year-old digital agency, and she delivers digital dynamite for associations and not-for-profits in web, app, and mobile environments. And so, and she's just really cool. But she has a really great perspective on what different association clients are experiencing, what they're looking for, and also on what, you know, different vendors are looking for in ways to integrate with different technologies. So could you tell me a little bit about, you know, what you've been thinking this news means for the association space, and maybe a little bit about what your concerns are?
Sure. Well, I loved hearing what JP had to say. I mean, I was jotting down notes about, you know, engaging through the life cycle and providing value. These are things that when I first started working with association management systems back in 20 years ago, it was probably IMIS 1.0. You know, those were just not things that you could ever hope for. So one of the things that we try to do always is to help our clients make the right decisions on, you know, figuring out their issues and then finding the tech that fits the need. And I feel like right now, the biggest gripe as web developers is that association management systems are just, they're so unique. You can take ideas from one to the other, but usually that's about it. Integration is very fragmented. I know Ben, who is, I guess, not able to join us by video, but by chat, I know that's obviously a huge piece of his intellectual capital, as well as Terry Carden with Review My AMS. But we've seen just in our space that just getting responsive website support from AMS components has been really arduous. So it certainly gives me pause when somebody comes in and says, we're gonna, really redo how things are done. And I don't expect the world to suddenly, AMS world to suddenly develop core standards, but I really love the idea, and I got to give props to Moira Edwards from Ellipsis. She came up with an awesome post yesterday in ASAE Connect about the idea of this concept of developing core standards, the things that we all as associations need to do, help our members join, do various kind of core services, and then have other tasks that could be dedicated and customized. And I really feel like that is a direction that I hope JP is using this as some business development to get people really thinking about what the next generation AMS can really do to be helpful for associations and not kind of try to be everything to everyone, because I think that's really gotten us into some sticky spots.
Right. Right. And, while we were talking, I was able to bring Paul Lundy on, and he is, not just a great man because he is silver sponsor for Association Chat with Fonteva. He's the co-founder and president of Fonteva. So I guess that would be the second thing that I think is the most important thing about him. But thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Paul.
Pleasure. Thanks for the invite. And we love our relationship with you.
I do too. And I'm very thankful for the fact that we have sponsors like you. But the reason why I wanted to bring you on today was basically to get, your insight into what it's like to be an AMS that's watching, that's not a part of this, this move. And, what you think the impact is on the way that your development, your innovation is going to happen for your own business.
Yeah, well, I don't see really any impact into our business on this. We like where we're positioned. We like being built on the Salesforce platform. In fact, I'm out here at Salesforce World Headquarters today. We're having our executive business review where all of the different teams from the platform to the communities to their lightning teams come and present to us and tell us what's on the roadmap. And we do a lot of collaboration and help them understand what would be important for us. And so it's a great relationship we have with a $7+ billion organization that is pumping all kinds of innovation out into the marketplace that enables us to harness and make that available to associations. So we don't really see this as having an impact on how we develop. Our customers really drive our roadmap, so we continue to listen very closely to our customers and make sure that we're developing and committed to this space. I think what we've seen in this announcement is really inevitable for a lot of these technologies that are built with older technology. They're on dated platforms. Some of these code bases really were developed before the internet came online. So it's really inevitable that you would see some of this kind of merging. Listen, we get called by venture capitalists, equity growth firms all the time. There's a lot of interest in the category suddenly. So, we fully expect this.
So when do you think that happened? Because, Ben Martin, who I wanted to be on and participating live, but is having issues with that side. But he's very active over here on chat. So anybody who's watching on Facebook Live right now, you can check out what Ben is saying if you go to the Crowdcast channel. Ben, he has the nerd.org, that NIRD.org, that is really fantastic for reporting on news about finance in the technology sector for associations. I mean, that's I'm paraphrasing, but that's my take on it. And he started reporting on this because he did notice that there was a lot happening in the space. What's your feeling on, what's your perception on the history of it? How have you seen that pick up? Because you say now that you're getting a lot of calls like that. When did that start happening for you? Well,
it's been, a couple of years, really. I think after you get to a certain level of revenue, then you start getting attention, and that's when the calls start, because then it becomes interesting to organizations with equity to invest. And, you know, especially when there's not that many options out there. Certainly the market's been attractive lately, but, you know, they look at a company like Fonteva and perhaps some of these others, I don't know, but with very strong growth, doubling and you know, 70% growth last year. So that looks very attractive to growth equity to be a part of.
Right. Well, that makes sense. And somebody, Terry is over here, not just somebody, Terry Carden of Review My AMS fame is saying nonprofit investment research department nerd. Thank you. Yes. All I could remember, I mean, it's memorable. I remembered the nerd. I just didn't remember what it stood for. You know, that's the interesting thing, is that it's definitely, we've seen this uptick in interest, and now certainly we're seeing that this is causing big changes. Everybody seems to be really excited about the opportunity that it means for development and innovation and moving forward, and that finally we might be seeing these big changes. But there are definitely people who are out there and they're worried, and they remember, you know, promises of innovation in the past where they're not sure if that's going to be what happens now. And I think, you know, once bitten, twice shy. Many of us, if you've been in that situation, you get nervous, right? And so I think that the questions that they have are fair, and I think that the concerns are fair. I wanted to see what you guys had to say about, you know, different things that you've been hearing in this conversation. You know, certainly, Paul, you've been hearing things in your circles about the news, and I don't know, Layla, what are some of the things that you've been hearing that you think are sticking out for you that are particularly relevant to talk about today?
I will add that this is so reminiscent of what I've seen going on in the tech industry in particular. You know, raise your hand if you had at some point in your association's past, or maybe still do, a private label content management system, and that you want to do something with later on, and then find that you're kind of hemmed in by the constraints of something that is you know, not an open source tool. I mean, we've seen that in our industry, web development in particular, where we actually used to have our own content management system that we built, and we found how tough it was to really keep up with all of the innovations, all of the changes. And so when we saw about, I guess it was 6-7 years ago at this point, the train rolling down the track with open source and software as a solution and web services and APIs. I mean, not to completely geek out here, but I feel like this is the way that the industry is going. You know, any industry, associations are no different. We all need tools. We have certain core functions that we need to do that are probably ripe to be standardized, and many others that are going to be more a function of our specific industries, where you do need to get more custom development. So I think this is it's a great time to be seeing these changes, and this consolidation could be a sign of something where a lot of different services are going to pull something together. I mean, look at the travel industry. You have, obviously United is probably on everyone's minds today.
Yes.
But taking their fiasco out of it, my first association job was with the American Society of Travel Agents. And while their industry has been decimated by technology, what's been interesting is to see the technology that has stood the test of time, which is their reservation management system. There is a system that all of the airlines use to manage and look at those flights. And I feel like we're going to get to that point where associations have some of these core functions that we all do that could maybe be handled across software, and then these different tools that we all use could then be differentiated further.
That's fascinating. I at the same time, I'm trying to pull in Loretta so that we can add her to the conversation. But here's the technology glitch on this side. She is going to be, Loretta, Gretchen, and David DeLorenzo.
The DelCor Power Hour.
They're together, and I'm going to try to pull them in. So now that I've made this apparent, and I'm not trying to take care of this underneath the webcam, if you can type over to this side, it will be very easy for me to try to find you and bring you on versus me trying to hunt through 158 different names over here. And so anyone on that side, type into the side, and if you're using JP's computer because you're at AUDC, then I will bring you on the best that I can. Ah, fantastic. Thank you, DelCor. I love DelCor. Okay, so Jeff says, one thing I have not heard mentioned yet is how much of this, let's see, how much of this is kind of activity is due to the growing interest of Salesforce in the nonprofit sector.
Is that a question?
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's open to the group, so yes.
I think it's, there's a lot there to that comment, because I'll tell you, you know, 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, we were evangelizing Salesforce to the association space, and frequently we were the very first people that introduced them to Salesforce. Very low awareness, no usage, and today it is extremely different. We're getting organizations come to us. In fact, 3 large organizations just in the last 90 days have said, we're going to standardize on Salesforce, let's talk, because they've already made the decision on the platform. And, you know, Salesforce is putting a lot of focus on the association space. I'm working with a lot of Salesforce reps that are calling on the space now, which wasn't done a few years ago. So I think there is a lot of excitement about what Salesforce can bring to the party. And just being out here for this executive business review and seeing all of the innovation they're pushing in so many areas, and providing, you know, just an incredible choice of different ways to engage and allow your members to grow and really drive mission-based marketing is really exciting.
Okay, and Sig, over here on the side, he's saying, no doubt that Salesforce is of great interest in the association marketplace. Nimble User, Nimble AMS, and Fonteva have both seen the benefits of that, as have their customers. Jeff comments that tremendous amount of innovation in the Salesforce ecosystem. Oh, absolutely, and it looks like on JP's side of things, where the Delcorians are waiting to come on, they're trying to reconnect. You know, it's Terry mentions up here that she's looking forward to seeing all of this R&D development investment money in action. How long until then? Like, when will that happen?
Well, that's a good question, because there's not a lot of evidence of that in the marketplace. When you see growth equity come in, I mean, I would just ask, where is the innovation behind it?
Right.
Yeah, I think it definitely, I know just reading all the comments and hearing what everyone said just in the past 24 to 48 hours, it's really giving people pause and making people wonder what's the benefit. I mean, is this simply a money grab, which is, I think, superficially where a lot of people see it going, which isn't a bad, you know, initial place to start from. A good dose of skepticism is always helpful. But I do feel that, you know, if I were to be an optimist, I would say, you know, what is it that the combined force of these different companies can do? So if, for example, they create some kind of a common ground, some kind of infrastructure that is shared among their services, and then build out some of the customizations and things that each company is already known for, you know, that might be a very interesting path to say, because you would almost be kind of having the open source revolution of saying, you know, we've got this out of the box technology, and then you can, you know, build on top of it. Whether or not the AMS really can go into a modular or plug-in type of scenario, you know, that would be an interesting path, because I've seen how many of our clients get tripped up by going potentially too far down the customization path, so then they're just locked in, they cannot change. And then oftentimes when we're trying to build web systems and things on top of that, then it creates even more headaches. And I feel like there are many times where we could be doing really clean, more seamless, more user-friendly types of online experiences, but get tripped up by some of the duct taping and band-aiding that has to happen behind the scenes that holds us back.
Okay, so, oh, Layla, oh no, have I missed everyone? Oh, in my efforts to bring more people on, I think that I have lost everyone. And boy, isn't that just history in the making. So let me see if I can try to get some of my people back on. That would be fantastic. In the meantime, what are you guys thinking? I mean, how is this hitting you, and what is this inspiring you? What are you thinking about? Go ahead and write in the comments, and I will try to bring them in. Layla, I'm going to try to bring you back in. Okay. I tried to bring in the JP DelCor crew. DelCor's there, AUD. Oh, how about that? Maybe I just had to kick everybody off in order to get the 3 Delcorians on. I don't know. What happened with that? Okay. And I can hear you too. So that's spectacular. All right. So, I mean, what a great crew to have some perspective on all of this. All right. And so, by the way, everyone who has been hearing about me talking about DelCor and Loretta being on, and now we have Gretchen Steenstra, and we have David DeLorenzo, Loretta DeLuca, who's the CEO of DelCor Technology Solutions. DelCor, they help people not just make selections on AMSs, but they help with implementation, and they help to really integrate all of these systems together. And so, you guys, what do you have to say about this? Because this is, I'm sure that the phone has been ringing off the hook. You've been receiving numerous emails. So I'm going to put it to you, Loretta, first, and then David and Gretchen, if you could jump in too.
Yeah, we certainly have had, there's been a little bit of cause for concern. We've had clients calling us, asking us, what should we do? We're in the process of making a decision of going with the biller, going with Aptify, or which, you know, should I go forward? What does it mean to me? I'm in the middle of implementation. How is this going to affect us? So absolutely, we sent out a notice to our clients on Friday, informing them that everybody just needed to stay calm, basically, and that there was kind of a rumor out there too that this was a merger, which in my mind is very different than joining and continuing the brands. So yes, we are seeing people who are concerned about it because of their history, some of them also.
And I think where there's short-term concern, because it is based on what people are doing now at an operational level, strategically, I would echo JP's where this is a tremendous opportunity for innovation in the space. I see, you know, a lot of the work I do working with clients is around digital strategy and digital transformation and the path forward. And it is that best of need, best of breed, innovative, iterative approach to success. And I think, you know, pulling in all these great companies and thinking downstream, thinking about what associations really need is a good focus. And I like to have a lot of confidence that I think this is going to be something that is going to be revolutionary for associations and a good opportunity for change. So I think get on board. You know, JP issued the challenge out there to the community space that they want to build products based on need. They want to help people, you know, and DelCor works in that space where we really are looking at what are your business models? What are your business processes? What are you actually trying to achieve as an organization? And drive the market. Don't let the market drive you. And I think that's what they're trying to capitalize on right now.
Right. What do you think,
So
Gretchen?
we're at AUDC now, and we were here a couple of years ago when Abilla was part of a merger, and the tone is much different. So when the Abilla transition happened, it was much more of an acquisition, and people were worried about what would happen to the brand and the culture of the product itself. And this is much different. The tone here is building a stronger base and keeping all of the products viable, but using the community to improve the implementation layer, the partner layer. And people were talking about some of the things people like about Salesforce is the community around Salesforce, where people can augment the product and extend it more independently. And I think that's one of the things we're really excited to see is some of the things JB did when he built out your membership a couple of years ago. He added these layers of products. It really strengthened it without customization. And I think that layering and sharing resources is what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and making an open architecture that everything's not baked into the core AMS, that the core AMS function, and as Layla mentioned, yeah, getting some core standards and understanding some core business processes. But we have to force associations and ourselves to like stay on that path too,
right.
And really look outside some of the tools and things that are available now. And there will be innovation because need will drive innovation.
Can I add one other thing on top of that is that I think this is finally the kick in the pants that every association management system needs to actually retool and rethink what they're doing. Because I know all of us who have been here long enough have seen, you know, version 2.0 and 3.0. They're kind of patching on top of things, and it's rare that somebody strips it back down to what are the core needs, what are we trying to do, as opposed to saying, well, we've got this data or this, you know, kind of system already, and what can we kind of add at the peripheral. I think this is a really great opportunity to say, let's rethink what the AMS should be and actually write some new code and strip it back to the basics and then build it out, as opposed to kind of duct tape band-aiding, I think has gone on for maybe too long.
But Layla, I think it's also a kick in the pants for associations to stop asking for every single thing to do without any reason. So I think associations also need to take some responsibility and say, if you want innovation and you want these platforms that are plug and play and best of need and best of breed, and you're going to throw these words around, then you, the association, need to be honest about, yes, there are things that are going to be manual, and that's okay. And in an age of automation, there are still people and edge cases that are dragging you down. And so I think both parties need to work together and own it.
So I saw earlier in the comments, and I have to say, everyone, many apologies that I can't read all of your comments while I'm listening to all of the things our guests are saying. It's usually much easier than this. But one of the comments that I grabbed onto earlier that somebody else said was particularly relevant to today's conversation and important to ask was that they are talking about, okay guys, okay Delcorians, okay crew, here's my situation. I have a client who's getting ready to invest several million in choosing an AMS, and 2 of the 3 that they're choosing between are now underneath community brands. And so this is a very real, you know, decision that I have to help them make. And I'm not sure exactly, I want to believe this, and I'm paraphrasing because this is me adding on to it, but I want to believe that these things are all going to be bright and rosy and you know, there's going to be lots of innovation. But how do I lead them in this decision at this point?
Are you asking me, Kiki?
Yes.
So I think, first of all, they're going to end up with one product. So the fact that they're two out of the 3 are under one brand, they're still distinct products at this point, and I don't see anything changing with that within the foreseeable future. I can't see anything happening with that probably for the next couple of years at least. I mean, JP was saying 3 to 4 years, et cetera, but it's probably going to be a couple of years before, you know, any kind of roadmap is come up with, et cetera. And they're machines, right? They're both pretty large companies, and they've got large products. They've got a big customer base. And so nothing's going to be, in my mind, disrupted for at least the next couple of years. So I feel like we should just continue with our selection processes the way that they are right now. And if they end up with one of the 2 products, then they'll have that product for the foreseeable future. If they end up with the one product that's outside of the family, they end up with that product outside of the family. But I will say that, I mean, in my mind, I know it sounds really weird right now to say this, but no product is safe in my mind right now. I mean, all of AMS vendors are being talked to. They're all of interest to outside investors. Yeah. And so the one product that they might end up with that's outside of the community brands might be purchased 6 months from now or 12 months from now. So I feel like just move forward, make the decision based on what makes the most sense for you now. And I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'll just say this, this is like a big reason to hug your consultants. Find the smart ones, give them a hug, be best friends with them. I mean, truly, like I obviously patted myself on the back, and all of you all as well. But I mean, that's really what this is about, is having people that can understand where the changes are going and what's happening, and people that can help you navigate these waters. Because, you know, I mean, there are people that are writing here, I just signed with them, nobody told me this was coming. I mean, you obviously, you have to advocate for yourself. And certainly I would imagine that there's some people who are really taking a good look at those contracts that they're signing and making sure that they've doubled down on what kind of backwards and forwards compatibility they're going to have, because that's obviously a huge concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that really is a huge concern that obviously we can't predict. I mean, none of us here can predict exactly what's going to happen next, but we do know that there will be more. You know, there will be more change. There will be, you know, a lot of development in the tech space. And we also have about 5 minutes left of association chat. So I have to say thanks. I'm so glad that I got all of you on. I'm sorry, Reggie, I couldn't get you on, and Ben, I couldn't get you on today. But you know, we're going to have this discussion and more like it. Definitely for those who are at AUDC, definitely for those who are going to be at your memberships conference. It's coming up in 2 weeks. And definitely online. Jeff DeCania over here, he's going to be having a conversation about it too. So Jeff, if you, for those people who are watching on Crowdcast, Jeff, if you can put the link that everyone can join to follow up with what you have to say about this after this very special edition of Association Chat, I'd most appreciate it. But with that, unfortunately, everyone, that's all the time we have for Association Chat today. Thank you so much for sharing with all of us and giving us some great insights. Everyone, participants, Delcorians, Layla, Paul, JP, definitely. Everyone who's been on and able to share with us, I appreciate it very much. I think we're all going to want to think a lot more about what's happening in the technology space for associations and our role in it. And what's coming up for Association Chat. Next week, we have a special Association Chat called Being Chuck. It's about Chuck Fazio. He's going to be on talking about life, art, and the meetings industry fund. So if any of you know him, you're going to want to check that one out. Yeah, and guys, you know, I don't bleep anything out. So it's Chuck. It's Chuck. Next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope for all of you watching that you have gained some new insights that's going to help you now or in the future, whatever they may be. If you are loving Association Chat, please consider sharing this chat with your colleagues and give us some love on social media. And as always, if you want to continue the discussion, you can join the Association Chat Facebook group for regular updates on upcoming topics and special guests. Catch us live each week here on Facebook Live or subscribe to the audio podcast on iTunes or Google Play. This particular show will be showing up within the next 24 hours. It has a little editing I have to do on the front end, but then it'll be posted. I hope to see many of you for the upcoming ASAE MMCC conference or at the WebLink Summit in May. You can check out the special Association Chat promo code. Just type in social and you'll get $200 off registration. And let me know if you'll be in the area and make sure to say hi. And until next time, everyone, keep asking questions to learn every day. As Joseph Campbell once said, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasures you seek. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Bye.
All right. So that's it. What did you think? Did you have a good time? Give us some love on social media and see you next time.